Hey, everybody, welcome back to the Top Agent Podcast. We have a very special guest, but first, Stacy, how are you doing today?
I'm doing great. How are you?
Wonderful. Middle of a snowstorm in sunny Manitoba.
Oh,
April
yes.
showers bring May flowers, right?
Or April snowstorms bring what?
Chaos and destruction.
Yeah.
But let's not distract from why we're here. We have an amazing guest. She is the first ever icon with eXp Realty. She is a record holder with currently the only person who has won 8 eXp Icon Awards, and that would be Elizabeth Riley.
Yes. I'm so excited to have her on the podcast. She has a lot of insight to offer.
Yeah, exactly. And an early agent 466.
Yes.
So she has
Impressive.
a lot of history to offer, and she's been in the business for since even previous to the 2008 real estate market crash in the United States. So
Yes.
we have a lot to talk about.
Yes, we do.
Let's get into it. Ladies and gentlemen, Elizabeth Riley joins us today from Austin, Texas. Elizabeth is an 8-time eXp Icon agent.
Yes. Thank you for joining us. How are you doing today?
Good. Thanks so much for having me. This is awesome.
Well, it's an honor for us to have you here, Elizabeth. It truly is. We want to get right into things, and I want to talk to you about a little bit about your history. So, can you tell me what life was like before real estate, and maybe any other careers that you had that predated your start in real estate?
Sure. So my major was international marketing, and my big plan was to go, and I studied Russian. My big plan was to go overseas and work in the industry, international industry in some way. I had no idea what that looked like. But that's not the path I took. I actually got into marketing, my first job out of college, and I worked for a lighting company, and I was in their marketing department, and that wasn't very exciting. And then I was actually over at Dell Computer, and I worked in finance there, where once I was there for a number of years, I was recruited to actually head up college recruiting for the product group, which was definitely more my style. I love to travel. I love to meet people. And so I was doing college recruiting for Dell, traveling to all the cool campuses around the country and meeting great college kids, and loved that. And then went to a startup. So I was always kind of in the recruiting back, that was my backstory. Then, I mean, it's all been in marketing, but then I had this itch to be a lawyer. I'd always wanted to be an attorney, and I wanted to go into child protection. And I said, well, there's a law firm wanting a marketing director, and that'll give me a chance to see what it's like to be an attorney and all that good stuff. And I think I was there a month, and I realized I'm not going to be an attorney. Y'all saved me a lot of time and a lot of money. But I was their marketing director for a number of years, and then my husband was transferred to Atlanta, Georgia, and so I was in marketing there as well for a law firm. And then I worked for a famous tennis player. If you guys follow tennis at all, Stan Smith was a famous tennis player in the 70s. He has the Adidas shoes. A lot of people know him from the Adidas shoes, but he had a company called Stan Smith Events, and we did major corporate events around major sporting events. And I was working with him on the Greece Olympics. We did Australian Open. We did really, really cool stuff. And it was at that time that my husband and I were meeting with our CPA, and we have a number of real estate investments. And my CPA said, one of you needs to get your license. And I said, well, I'm not getting my license. I'm going to Greece. Right. And my husband said, well, I'm not getting my license. I have the corporate job with the benefits and the steady pay. And so I lost that battle and got my license just for the CPA purposes, and just for the IRS to see that I was managing our properties and we could get those write-offs. And went to Keller Williams because they were at the time the only place that would let somebody come and work part-time.
Yeah.
And I realized I love this. And so that's kind of my backstory. It's always been in marketing and recruiting, I guess you could say.
Nice.
Yeah.
So when you joined Keller Williams, did you try and build a real estate career, or were you just kind of having it for your rentals or your properties? Did you start?
Yeah, no, I was a complete brat about it. I had no interest in real estate. But here's what happens. You start telling your friends, well, I've got my real estate license. If you ever need something, you know, that kind of a thing. And then your friend, literally, that's how it happened. A friend from college was like, well, can you help me find my condo? Sure. Let's go find a condo. And it's not really work when you're loving what you do. And so we would go find her condo. I was like, oh, this is fun. And then my friend Eileen was my second client. She's like, oh, will you help me find a house? Come on, this will be fun. Okay. And that's how it happened. I'm like, I really kind of like this. It's not the real estate that I'd always been told the way you have to do real estate. Right. And so at first it was really just for my investment properties. And then I realized I can help other people that I know, that know me, like me, and trust me. If Keller Williams had told me to go knock on a door or cold call somebody, I would have run for the hills. But that's totally not who I was. But they didn't tell me that, and they let me do it part-time. My team leader and my OP were amazing, and I just got to build my business in the way I wanted to build my business. And that's, my business was all referral. Well, not originally. I had somebody, my sponsor at Keller Williams helped me, you know, with leads and things from time to time that he didn't want to run. And so then you just start building your relationships. And now over time, that was almost 18 years ago.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. And then I was transferred in 2008 to Austin, Texas. My husband was transferred here for work. And so if you were in the business in 2008, that wasn't a good time to be in the business. For me, I built my business in Atlanta. I was a top producer there on my terms. And I did the same here. I had to meet people. I didn't know anybody here. Everybody was saying it was a horrible time to get in the market. And I saw that as opportunity because people were still buying and selling. It might not have been easy, but I built my business here in Austin starting in 2008. And I've been here ever since.
Wow.
Yeah.
And you transferred with Keller Williams, like you carried that, you joined it. Okay.
I did, because Keller, that's what I knew. Texas is a very different animal from Georgia with real estate and laws and forms and everything. I know each state is different, but Texas is just a completely different animal. And I was already disrupting so many other things. I never even thought twice about another company, quite frankly. I just called the Keller Williams here and I said, I'm a top producer in Atlanta. I'm joining here. Can I join your market center? They're like, sure. I mean, they need bodies and they need top producers. And so I aligned with Keller Williams here. And I was there total, my total time at Keller Williams was 10 years. That was, I mean, I am so grateful for my time there and the people and the relationships and just the lessons I learned. But in 2014, we had 650 agents in my market center and I was number one. And I came home that day and I told my husband I was getting out of the business because at that time I was on a hamster wheel. I have 4 children. And it was, you know, Keller Williams always talks about God, family, business. And it was very backwards for me during that time because I was working so hard and I had built a big business and it was all about business, and God and family were somewhere down here and I wasn't okay with that. And so I had to make a change. And for me, I was going to get out of the business. My husband's like, well, just start your own brokerage. No. I don't want my own brokerage. And so I'd known all the other companies. I'd known all the different models, and it just was all about, it was all the same. And so I was at a crossroad at that point, and I had to make a decision.
So what was the thing that brought you to eXp?
Well, so many different things. Hindsight's 2020. So my Atlanta relationships, everybody that I was friends with at KW, my sponsor, some of the other agents that I was really good friends with, they had all gone to this little tiny company called eXp. And they had, you know, timing's interesting because my sponsor from KW at the time, he had gone over and he had been talking about eXp to me forever, and the stock was 10 cents. But when you don't understand that, right? No company was offering stock. Nobody really understood what that meant. I certainly didn't. I wasn't listening, and timing, I was just in my groove and timing just was off. And so when people don't make moves because they're happy or because things are going great. They make moves when there's pain or you find a pebble in their shoe. And my pebble was, I was burnt out. My pebble was, I was having to choose family versus business, and that wasn't okay for me. And so they had all reached out and they're like, hey, we are having so much fun. We would love to be in business with you again. The other challenge I had is I was licensed in 2 states and having to pay 2 franchise fees, 2 caps. I mean, it was very, very expensive. And I really had to let my Georgia license go. And they said, here's a big opportunity because we're one company. Would you talk to somebody? Would you meet with somebody? And I think we all have people in our lives that you don't ever ask questions. If certain people ask you, will you meet with somebody? Like, sure, I'll meet with anybody. Right. And so that was Glenn Sanford. And Glenn Sanford drove into town in Austin, and everybody's like, oh my gosh, that's amazing. Well, Glenn's company was 400 agents at that time, right? My market center was 650. So eXp wasn't anything then, what it is now. But I sat there with Glenn, and I mean, if you've met Glenn, for those of that know Glenn, he is so humble, so soft-spoken, so brilliant, and just so generous. He's that same person today as he was back then. And I truly believe people join people.
Yeah.
And I really loved his vision and what he was and everybody comes to this company for a different reason. What he was talking about was he was a big team. He had a big production team. He was kind of at burnout mode as well. I totally related to what he was saying. And he said, if I owned a company and I built a company, I want the agents to have ownerships. I want to honor the top producers. Well, I was a top producer at KW. And every year I got a baseball cap that said Capper. Okay. That's great, but that's not going to pay your mortgage.
Your pension.
Nothing. And so when Glenn started talking about stock, he showed me the trends report that Stefan Swanepoel wrote. And I love Stefan Swanepoel, right? He's the trends expert. He's broker blind. He speaks for NAR and REMAX and KW and all these different companies. And he's highly, highly respected. And he wrote an article about the different models. And in that article, he wrote, this one you don't know of, it's the one to watch. It's eXp. They're the Amazon.com of real estate. And I was like, well, what if? Like, what if we had known about Amazon, y'all, when they were trying to sell books? Originally, they were crazy. Who would have bought stock or been involved in some way? Yes, please, right? So part of me is like, what if that worked? What if something was different like that? That would be exciting. I'm bored and I'm uninspired. But to build something and to be a part of something, that could be really cool. And if the stock is being awarded to me for doing production, well, that's amazing as well. And then you've got the other side that's like, well, what if it doesn't work? Well, if it doesn't work, I can go back anywhere I want because they all need top producers. So for me, somebody told me the other day, you took a really big risk coming on board. I'm agent 466. And I said, no, I didn't take a risk. I said the risk was not doing something. Because if I'd stayed where I was going to have more of the same. And so it was really exciting. And so I decided, you know what, I really like this company, but I also believe in seeking wise counsel. And I didn't know what I didn't know because I'd only been at Keller Williams. I'd never owned a franchise. I'd never been a part of any other company. And so my old team leader had retired, and he was incredibly knowledgeable. He was incredibly experienced. He'd been in the industry for 30 something years. And I reached out to him and I said, I need your help. I need you to poke holes in this. I need you to tell me I'm crazy because everybody else was saying I was crazy. Like, you built this at KW. Why would you risk all that? And again, I don't think it was a risk. And that my team leader was Gene Frederick. So I talked to Gene because I needed his guidance. I needed his counsel and I trusted him. And so that's how this whole journey began. We talked about the company for 5 months. I introduced him to different people. I said, please tell me what I need to know and what I need to ask. And he said the same thing I said earlier. He was bored. He was uninspired. He's like, let's do this. And so that's how that whole journey began. We're like, okay, let's do this. There were 400 agents. Never, ever in a million years did I think we'd be at almost 90,000 in 8 years. Pretty fun.
Wow.
Yeah.
Ryan was one of the first agents in our province to join eXp, and then I followed a year later. And at that point, I was number 24, and we're now at 100. So, and that was fun. Within a year. So,
yeah, congratulations to y'all as well. And that's, I love it when people are saying, well, there's not eXp in my market. I'm like, oh my gosh, that's opportunity.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
It is opportunity. Yeah, it's very interesting watching it grow. And we actually had the honor of having Glenn Sanford on our podcast last week, and he's got some interesting points in there. And yeah, he seems really great to talk to. So
he's great, and he really has a heart for the agents, right?
So,
I mean, he is very. I mean, they say agent obsessed. It truly is. That's why he stepped back in the CEO role. He wanted to be a part of what we're all doing, and what he's created for all of us is amazing. And we all have ownership, and we all have say.
Yeah.
And very different from what the rest of the industry does.
Yes. So in regards to agent attraction, what does that look like for you?
Well, everybody does that a little bit differently as well. I'm very much in production, as you know, and that's my attraction, right? Because I think if I'm staying in production, I'm relevant, I'm current, I'm in conversations with top agents. So I have everybody that's come to the company in my front line, my front organization. I never called any of them. They all came to me to ask questions, or they were curious because they saw what I was doing. They saw what I was building. They saw my business explode and my life become richer. I have more time freedom and financial freedom than I ever had before. And people really don't understand how that's possible. And so when you get to explain and share this model, it's really exciting because you see their eyes light up. Because again, success looks different for everybody. Time freedom for me, you know, I'll give an example. What this company has done is it's allowed me to build a big business internationally. I have relationships from all over this country that are so dear and precious to me that I would have never been able to have if it weren't for this company, right? My business is more than tripled. My business is 100% referral, but what it's allowed me to do, my husband was corporate for 25 years for Dell. He was always gone. He didn't have a relationship with our kids. You know, he was just kind of in and out, gone for weeks at a time. And when COVID hit, it just changed. I could see the light dimming because he's not traveling, but he's still on calls at 2 and 3 and 4 in the morning to Dubai and South Africa and wherever he has to do his business. And I said, well, why are we doing this? He's like, well, I don't know. I have the benefits. I was like, well, eXp now has healthcare. What could that look like if we compare the two? So we did. We compared the two. We met with the healthcare with Clearwater, and we realized it was better coverage. And so it allowed me to retire my husband. And I retired him. It'll be 2 years next month. And I retired him not to say, well, yeah, my husband's like, I always tell him he's a kept man. He tells everybody he's arm candy, but it was more than that. It was for our family dynamic. And now he's super tight with our family again, our kids, and they have a relationship. And that freed me up as well, right? So we've got the time freedom as a family now. It also provides financial freedom. What other company was providing revenue share or stock that can really change the trajectory of what you're doing and make you work smarter, not harder? And so for rev share, I mean, it's been life-changing for me. I actually told Glenn when I first met with him, I was not interested in rev share because I was at Keller Williams, and that was revolutionary when they were doing profit share, right? But profit share diminishes when there's so much overhead. And so my profit share wasn't that huge. That wasn't that big, but I had a lot of agents that I felt responsible for, and I poured into them, and it was another job. And so I didn't want to recreate that again. So I told Glenn, I'm not interested in rev share. I mean, I've changed my tune since then. I just didn't know what I didn't know. I was really mostly focused on the stock and the Icon Awards. The Icon was a really big deal to be able to get my cap. I've been paying caps for years to get my cap back in stock. And I was the first Icon ever named in the company. And so, yeah, and that was really exciting. I'm like, wow. And when my first Icon Award was issued, I think the stock was around $1. Well, since that time, that's all gone up and split. So that one award is now 32,000 shares, right? And so I've got 8 of those awards plus all the other stock that's just awarded to us for doing transactions. And that's life-changing.
Yeah, that is. Wow.
Having gone through one of the most extreme real estate crashes in recent history, what advice would you give to somebody that's to adapt to a changing market?
That's a great question. I really don't think the market should determine somebody's business, right? I think people need to really figure out who they are, what's authentic to who they are. I think a lot of times people chase what other people are doing. Comparison kills joy. Absolutely. And I say that for myself as well. If I'm looking up going, oh my gosh, Alicia's doing this or Jill's doing this and I'm not doing that. Well, they're different agents. Here's what I've done, and I've been consistent about it for 18 years. There have been a lot of different markets. And not only that, in the market that crashed in 2008, I started in a brand new market that I didn't know anybody. I didn't even know how to get home. It was like driving up and down one street. So if I can do it, anybody can do it. Here's what I do. I am very relational, and I'm very good at marketing to my sphere. My goal is to be in touch, intentionally in touch with my sphere 3 times a month. But I do that consistently. I do that every month, year over year. And it doesn't matter if I haven't heard from somebody. I get business from people all the time, or referrals from people all the time that have never responded to anything I've sent them. I've never sold them a house, but I'm building that relationship, right? So if you build a relationship, the business is going to come. You earn the right to have the business. And so figure out, I think, as a new agent, first of all, don't spend money till you're making money. A lot of agents spend a ton of money on fancy things and marketing. And what I tell people all the time is they're going to throw it away, right? So don't spend a ton of money on your marketing when you just want to make an impact on the way to the trash can. And so that's why I teach what I do all the time. And I'm doing things a little bit clever and different. And I don't talk about real estate. I don't say just listed or just sold. I want people to feel like they can relate to me. Oh, she's got kids. She knows what's going on. She's a mom. This is my friend. I want to do business with her because I know her, like her, and trust her. But you have to build that over time in whatever way that is. For me, it's relationships. For me, it's marketing to them, making sure I'm in front of them all the time, because NAR statistics say 83% of their agents don't even stay in touch with their past clients. You sold them a house and now you're not going to stay in touch with them. Okay, well, I'm going to stay in touch so that when they get something on the 15th of the month, they're like, and they hear their friends saying, oh, I'm thinking of selling. Oh, my friend Elizabeth, you need to call Elizabeth, because they're seeing me all the time. So whatever you do, be consistent and be authentic. And I think that that's going to rise above, because people see right through the phony. Nobody wants to be sold, but everybody wants to buy. So if you can relate and figure out what your lane is and not worry about what everybody else is doing. I mean, Facebook ads and Google, searches and all these other things, and technology and YouTube. Oh my gosh, any of that stuff, it makes my anxiety level go high, because I'm not doing any of that. And then I have to remind myself, okay, but that's okay. I'm good at what I'm doing and I'm consistent at what I'm doing. And that's going to weather any market condition that we have.
Wow. So you offer a coaching program then, or training?
I don't offer coaching programs, because I think everybody has coaching programs. I train all the time. We have Family Tree within eXp. I don't know if y'all are part of it, but that's 4 of us organizations. They all came together. I think we have like 9,000 people in there organically, where every single day we have training and teaching and coaching. I don't want to be a coach where somebody hires me to be their coach and I'm like, Stacy, so why didn't you make your calls? Ryan, why didn't you do what you're supposed to do? I've got 4 kids that I do that with. I don't want to do that in my business, but I want to be able to add value and share what I've done and what I've learned over 18 years and what I do as a top producer. And that's the beauty of our company.
Yeah,
because
that's what I love about this company.
Yeah, I mean, if you win, I don't even know whose org you're in. I don't even care. If you win, we all win, because we're one company, right? And that when you own something, you treat it differently. So we have trainings in Family Tree all the time. I teach on marketing to your sphere all the time. I teach on all sorts of stuff, but not a coaching company. There's tons of coaching companies out there, but there's also a ton of value that can be added to people's day without signing up for a coaching company or a coaching program. So I have a coach, but that's a little bit different.
Do we find this Family Tree thing in eXp world, or is this a website?
It's in Workplace.
Workplace?
Just go into Workplace and go Family Tree and join it. It's open to anybody, anywhere.
Yeah, that's like, before I joined eXp, I had never met so many agents willing to help other agents. And then I'm only like sitting there going, well, how much is this going to cost me? But yeah, and yeah.
And it doesn't. We're all about collaboration, not competition. And the industry has always been about competition, right? So it's been a lot of fun. And people, they don't understand what we're about until they're actually in our ecosystem. And they're like, okay, now I know what you're talking about.
Yeah.
I'm experiencing the same.
Now I get it.
Tried to explain. Let's show them what we're doing, because we can't tell them effectively.
Now, you had mentioned that the social media platforms give you anxiety, or you don't necessarily want to post on them.
I'm on board.
What is your view of the role social media plays in real estate today?
Oh, I think it's huge. And I know that I think everybody has to have social in some capacity. I have Instagram, I have YouTube. I mean, we're building that out. I'm not, because I don't even know how even to log into that. But I'm just taking the content and the things that I've done and putting it out there to share with other people. But I think there's a lot of people that do extremely well with social media. They capitalize on really well. That just hasn't been my focus. And so I have the social platforms, but at the same time, most of my clients aren't even on social media. Or, I mean, for me personally, I'm very private with my social media, because my Facebook and things like that. If I don't know somebody, I don't let them in, because that's my family. Those are my kids. That's my world, right? I keep a little bit of a difference there. And I don't necessarily, you don't want all of your clients involved in that stuff all the time. So not everybody's on social media. So I will do things on social, but I make sure to do the direct mail piece, to, call them, to text them, to do other things, not just rely on one way to get business. But a lot of people do really, really well with that. And I think you own that. I was raised and grew up, and my business was built in a different era where that wasn't available.
Well, we're going to switch gears just a little bit.
Sure.
These questions are a little different. What is your favorite movie of all time?
Oh, my favorite movie of all time. I would probably have to say Elf.
Oh God.
I have to put it away. Because otherwise I'll watch it all year long. I love that movie.
We can't be friends.
Oh, I love it. I love it. I don't like any of his other movies, which is so funny. I don't like Will Ferrell as an actor, but that movie just makes me laugh. I don't know.
That's awesome.
So dumb.
What's your favorite thing to do when you're not doing real estate or watching Elf?
My family's my world. I love to travel. I grew up not really having a lot, and so I don't put much stock in material things, but I do put a lot of effort into memories. I want to create memories, because my kids aren't going to remember what they got for Christmas last year, but they're going to remember a trip that we went on. So for me, I love planning trips. We do a lot of surprise trips where literally we have their bags already packed. We throw it in the car. We throw them in the car and we head to the airport, and they don't know where we're going till we get there. So it's fun. And we always we try to go to different places. And so that's my thing. My family is my world, and creating those memories with them.
Nice.
Do you have a favorite place that you visited that you go back to, or is it always somewhere different?
It used to be always somewhere different. We love going to Park City. I love the summers. My kids all love to ski, so much so that we bought a place up there. So we go up there quite a bit, but I also bought that to celebrate my agents. So, I mean, with icons, it's very hard to reach icon. And I told my husband, I said, we have a lot of investment properties, but I want to buy something that we can use and create traditions and create memories with our family, but also to celebrate my agents. You worked really, really hard to get to icon. Congratulations. You and your family go play hard and use the house for a week. So that's been a really fun blessing that eXp has allowed me to do. Park City is where we go a lot of times. For Thanksgiving, we were in Costa Rica. In May, we're going to Jamaica. We've never been to Jamaica. My oldest is going to graduate next year, and he's wanting to do kind of a European tour. And so, yeah, things like that. But
Nice.
City is one of my favorites.
So, Ryan, did you take that down? I would like to go to Mexico when I icon, please. Thank you. So,
Why not?
Noted.
Yeah. Hi, Ryan.
Yeah, I'll be expecting my plane tickets. Thank you. So what is the single best piece of advice you've ever been given?
Not real estate related, but it's everything that part of my who I am is, if you're on time, you're 5 minutes late.
It's true. I think Ryan's told me that about if you're not 10 minutes early, then you're late.
Mm-hmm.
So, that's what I say. If you're not 10 minutes early, you're late.
Yeah.
And I realized I skipped one of Ryan's questions, so I'll let him go ahead and ask you.
Oh, okay. What book has had the most influence on you?
Die with Zero by Bill Perkins.
That one.
Hank Avink. Do you know who Hank is? He's out of Michigan. He was one of the top maps coaches when he was at KW, but he's very intense. He's a coach. He's amazing. And he had read this book, and we noticed on our accountability calls that he was a little bit more reserved, which is not Hank. And he said, I read this book and it's just really had a big impact on me. And we didn't really engage in the conversation. And he got a little frustrated. He's like, you know what? I'm going to challenge all three of you to read this book by Monday. And if you don't, you're dead to me. We're like, oh, because he's serious about that. So we're like, okay, so we read this book. And yeah, it definitely changed my world. I made my husband read it as well. And it's one book that I read over and over. So if you haven't read it by Bill Perkins, it's definitely one to add to your list.
Nice.
Excellent.
It's funny. We actually get a different book suggestion for almost everybody. So that's
Yeah.
good in here.
Well, that's good. You need to compile a list because
Yeah,
there's
we have.
books out there. Yeah.
Elizabeth, those are everything we have. That's everything we have for today. And it has been an honor. And we thank you so much for joining us.
Thank
Well,
you so much.
That was fun. And I love getting to know you guys, and congratulations on your success, and anything I can ever do to support or serve you, you know where to find me.
We appreciate that so much.
Yeah.
And we'll see you at eXpCon.
Looking forward to it. See you guys soon.
See you.
Thank
Bye.
you.